a great day for another weekly Q&A session. And if you're not familiar with what these are similar setups to the weekly live streams, except, of course, instead of being live, it is pre-recorded. And you can post your questions in the YouTube members section, in the YouTube members community section, if you want priority. And, of course, if you just want to join in for free, then you can join the Discord link in the description below and find the most recent Q&A under the Cave video content section right here. It's a little... it's quite easy to find, but some people have their difficulties, but that's fine too. All right, sweet. We'll start it off with the YouTube members as always, because they get priority. And if you want to join in for priority, it is just the join button below, and it should be pretty obvious, honestly, where to go from there. All right. Martin Sean Hunt is first. And by the way, these questions are going to be a few days old. That's fine. I'm going to be posting this video despite recording it on Sunday, February the 2nd. I'm going to be posting it during the time that we're traveling this upcoming week. So we'll see exactly when it gets released, maybe like Wednesday or something like that. All right. Martin Sean is asking about Fcoin bounce on the daily. Assuming it's still bouncing from around 80 cents by the time you see this, I'm still in profit on this one, looking for realistic bounce targets. I minted a few Fcoins this morning, and I think that's diluting the supply, but let's go check it out over here. And it looks like, okay, what a difference a few days makes. 80 cents was like 20% ago. Maybe I shouldn't be laughing, but I think we spoke about this on Friday's live stream after you posted this question as well. In fact, I'm just about certain that you did ask about it there as well. And I'd say the same thing here. I would repeat this point. I do think that this is a cycle high for Fcoin. I don't think that you're going to see higher than what you saw in middle of January, or at least I think it's very unlikely here. There will be bounces along the way on the downside, but I'd really be looking for this thing to kind of set up a major macro bull trap on the next bounce, honestly. So first things first, I think we went over this again on Friday, but does this thing come down a little bit lower, or does it bounce from kind of where it's at right now? I don't have strong opinions on this. I mean, it's within the vicinity. I think maybe it could come a little bit lower, closer to like 50 cents. I mean, that is your last major high over here, or close to your major high over here. But anywhere within this region, I'd be looking for a general bounce. But on that bounce, let's just draw the LARP lines out here. On that bounce, I think you really have to be skeptical. And I mean, look, you can do whatever the fuck you want, but I would be extremely skeptical on a bounce and be looking at, very likely a rejection anywhere, especially anywhere below like 160 as your next to lower high bull trap before getting ready for like a real breakdown. I mean, this is already a real breakdown. It went from fucking nearly $3 to 60 cents. But I think you're going to retrace pretty much all of this run. I think most meme coins are done. Maybe there's like a few that are okay, but I think most of them are just generally done. Anyways, you go on to ask, can you talk about any objective ways to tell the difference between a temporary pullback from a critical region versus a rejection? Or is it something you built up a sense with for experience? You technically can't. No, you don't know. That's why I always kind of leave that part open-ended. I'll say something like, regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish, I think it pulls back here, but does it reverse from here? That's... then you're asking for a lot, right? So is there any objective way to do it? No, there is subjective ways to do it, of course. If you do see so here are some things that actually could be objective that could help. If you see 3 drives or more of bearish divergence or bullish divergence for that matter, those tend to be the more likely kinds of divergences to actually produce real reversals and not just, pullbacks or bounces. But other than that, I don't really have like great easy ways to do that. I think looking at volatility can be very, very helpful, but I think the RSI is probably the closest thing to what you're asking. And hopefully that was helpful, ma'am. Anyways, Cousin Burley says, hello, Crown. Hello. Tesla 5-day and monthly. All right, let's check this one out. Tesla derp. Actually, I want to go back to Fcoin just for a moment here. I'm curious what daily momentum's look. Yeah, I think you're very close to a bounce here. It's basically gone from $3 to 60 cents without any real bounce. Anyways, okay, Tesla. All right, let's get back on track here. Okay, Tesla. I believe we did this one on Friday as well. I wouldn't really have anything to add to this. I do think it's generally going to be going sideways between this range of 370 to the downside versus 450 to the upside. As long as it's between there, I would be bullish long term. Bias towards an upside resolution, but I think that it can stay in there for a while, to be honest. Looking at the monthly, I mean, yes, momentum is still to the upside as long as this thing's above 315, but to me, it does look like it's entering into a bit of a consolidation phase here. Not monthly momentum, but monthly volatility getting very, very high. These are, and weekly already got like extreme high, above 90%. I mean, these are typically going to lead towards multi-month long corrections. Now, to be fair, I mean, that did start in middle of December. So, we're already 1 month into that. Maybe it takes most of February as well, maybe even into March. But again, as long as it's holding that range, I still would be biased towards an upside resolution. Here's what the quarterly looks like here too. Yeah, if it did want to trade down and reconnect with the 5 exponential in like the mid 300s, that would be fine. I just wouldn't want to see like closures below I believe it was the monthly level that we gave out. No, it was just the range level that we gave out. Other than that, quarterly momentum remains the upside as long as things above 300, basically. So, I'd be looking at pullbacks here as likely opportunities. It's right now in the middle of the range. So to me, this is like a nothing. Only above about 4, whatever this high was from Thursday, the 26th of December. I would be looking at that as a confirmed breakout. Until then, I think you're going to be going sideways for a while, with potential for corrections to drag on longer and a little bit lower. All right. Crypto Rect RD says, hello, Sir Crown. I hope Elsa and you have a safe upcoming trip. I would appreciate if it's safe as well, man. Thank you for that. Can you please provide an outlook for the following? OM, OM, is the breakout real? If yes, what would be the potential target? I remember this was pretty good from long-term memory, but in the short term, is it? Is the breakout? This thing moves very fucking weird. I mean, very nicely if you're long, of course, since 2023. But I'm always skeptical of stuff like this. But to be fair, all trends are up. All trends that matter, at least. Is this breakout over here real? I mean, it is an uptrend. So yes, but I don't think that it's gonna like green dildo its way to new highs from this exact moment. I do think that you found a local high right here. You're gonna swing down, maybe close to the prior range high at like $4.50. And if it is going to be bullish, I'd be expecting a higher low there, because when I look at the daily volatility, it's already in extreme regions. This to me is the end of this current daily rally. But end of the current daily rally, I mean, again, at first I'd be biased towards this pulling back into another higher low. So I don't really have like major concerns there, I guess, at least not yet. I would say that this thing is absolutely fucking wrecked if it retraces not this week, but the week prior, the 20th of January. If it retraces that, especially, closes the daily below that low, which is 317, that would be my indication that this thing is done for a very, very long time. But until then, I mean, it has acted as one of the strongest things. So have to respect that. Anyways, you go on to ask about Cpool. We can do multiple for the YouTube members. Cpool, Clearpool. And what time frames did you want? Weekly, okay. I mean, at least it's in an uptrend, right? But similar to the last one, you've hit a local high right here. It's already come down a decent amount. You're going to form a range for a while. You're going to trade sideways for a while. I think these alarm plans over here were maybe a little bit too late, but fair enough. Doesn't need to be exact. But I do think that this will trade sideways within this range. These two green bars here, between about 24 cents to 44 cents for a while. And as long as it's between there, I mean, that's still fine long term. It still would be another higher low, and set it up for a potential continuation to like an actual breakout above your December highs. At that point, probably looking closer to 80 cents or $1. But for right now, I think you're going sideways for a while. And of course, if I'm wrong and you actually do see this thing start to close below, low 20 cents, well, it's probably done for a very long time, and you're probably going to see this thing closer to like 10, 15 cents out. I don't know, something like that. Be pretty ugly. All right, and last one, you're looking at Hype. Yeah, I know this one's very popular. Let's see, I have it on my list here. I like to watch it. Jesus, man. I know that there's more price action history than what's being shown here. Let me see. It would be nice if I could actually pull it up because that would be a little bit more helpful. What exchange is going to have it? Maybe CoinEx? Nah, I think this might be the best that we can do, unfortunately. Oh, here we go. Okay, Kuderp has it. Similar to the last couple ones, I think at best you're kind of in a range here, right? And you just tested the top side of the range and rejected the top side of the range. So typically you're going to play coast to coast in these scenarios. So does it come a little bit lower, tries for a higher low compared to 20th of January, maybe, and then bounces and sideways. I think that would be the bullish view. Just still sideways for a while though. The most obvious area to get bullish on this is back above 27.5, but it has to close above there. Thus far, just rejections around there. So hard to love. Weekly, you could definitely make the argument that it is putting in a low here. I personally think that it'll trade sideways here. And as long as you're above that $19.5 higher low, it's fine. It'd still be bullishly biased, I guess. Seems to have a good correlation to Bitcoin as well in terms of price direction, but anyways, that's what I'd say for that one. All right, moving on. I think we are at the end of the YouTube comments there, so we will go into the Discord section here. And let's see who's first. Mr. KB says, can you please do XTC. That's what you do when you're in your 20s, actually, on the daily and weekly. All right, daily here. Kind of similar again to the last one, ranging on the lows, range high, somewhere around 13 cents, range low, somewhere around this prior high, which is just below 10 cents. I do think that you're going to be trading sideways here for a while minimum. And if it is going to be bullish, obviously back above 13 cents or 13 and a quarter, that's where things start to get very interesting for, legitimate breakout. And at that point, this thing probably retests all-time highs. By the same token, if you do start to see this thing close, let's call it like 9.5 cent below there on a closing basis, I'd be calling this rally, whatever the hell this is, done for a very long time, and very, very, very likely to come back down. I don't know, like 5 cents ish region. But as of right now, looking at the monthly, if it did have a reconnect with the 5 exponential here at 8 cents, I guess it's not the end of things. Just wouldn't want to see closures again below this low. So it could have a quick wick down there, bounce before the closure, and then close above 9.5. That would look okay to me. Again, if it is going to indeed be putting in a higher low here. But other than that, I think you're probably due for a little bit of a bounce relatively soon if this thing can close above 10 cents or 10, let's call it 10.5 cents. If you go to the 5-day time frame, this is where I get my corrective signals as more likely. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it trade closer to 8 cents first and then bounce and try for, an actual major low. Pretty good rally here though, to be fair. All right. We have Crypto Voodoo next. It says, hello, Crown. Can you please take a look at Aave on the daily and weekly? Okay. No, this is I believe it's a 2020 DeFi shitcoin, something like that. Like most 2021 shitcoins, nowhere near the prior all-time highs, but at least had a decent rally here. That's, better than most. This one, very similar to a lot of the other ones. Again, I've already charted this one, I guess, but let's make it for the weekly. Trading sideways within this range between 250 to 400, I think is generally going to favor the BULAs long term, but it can take a long time here. And I do think that it will test somewhere down around the low side of this range, again, before it's all said and done. So maybe it ends up looking something like this. And then if it could hold sideways there for, I would say a couple of months at least, then perhaps you do get your try above $400. And above $400, I mean, things get very interesting because it's probably going to, retest essentially your prior all-time highs. By the same token, below 245, let's call it 250 on a higher term time frame closing basis, that's where I'd say you have a major top here, and it's going to at least come back down sub 200. I'd say like 170-ish region for the next potential bounce, but I wouldn't necessarily be looking at that bounce as likely to produce an upside reversal. It's just personal opinion. Looking at that, Mr. Barash is looking at hype. He wants to look at we didn't look at the 4 hour earlier, so we can quickly look at that one, but I think we already got it decently. I wouldn't add anything here, really. Again, probably spikes these lows again, but I think you're in a bouncy territory there. I don't think it trends to new lows from here. Hookem has posted some sort of thing. Let's see. Here's the updated table with the second column retaining prevalence while being more... Oh, my God. All right. I'm just reading the data here. Don't fucking hate me. It shows that 70%... Holy shit. 70% of females aged 18 to 25 who are Democrat have, is it 70% of females in that age range are Democrats, and 41% of those have diagnosable mental illness? I think that's actually the way to interpret it. Yeah, holy shit. Democrats really skew to the to young female. That's actually quite revealing. The Democrats are the matriarchs and the Republicans are the patriarchs, in an easy way to put this. Look, man, I know what you're getting at here. Like, yeah, it's not surprising. Democratic women generally have higher rates of mental illness. I mean, I'm not looking to dunk on anyone. I think it's just sad, honestly. It's just sad. Like, it's also why democracy, I don't think, is ever going to work out long term, because everyone can vote. Most people are on fucking SSRIs, right? I don't know if that puts you in the best mindset to be making decisions, but yeah, man, that data just makes me sad. It's like, it's poor girls, they're like freaking out about probably nothing in most cases, or massively misinterpreting things. Anyways, yeah, there we go. Nice. Almaty's got it. I can always trust him. Weird Beard says, "Hey, Crown, I have heard the market been described as a wicked learning environment, by which I mean what you do does not seem tightly correlated to the outcome like other technical professions." Yeah, I would agree with that, because in trading, compared to, like, I don't know if look, I'm not a software engineer, so maybe this analogy just completely breaks apart, but if you're an engineer or a coder, like, the more time that you put in, typically the more that you get out, like if you're literally just doing coding. But with trading, it's not like I spend 20 hours at my desk, so I make 100%, more than if I spent 10 hours at my desk. No, trading is all about all about planning, honestly. At least that's kind of the conclusion that I've come to and evolved to over my career. Trading is, you're not going to be rewarded for sitting down at your desk all day, like actually making trades. What you're going to be rewarded for is sitting down at your desk and creating a strategy that you backtest. That's where you can use that effort that I know a lot of people want to invest in. That's where you can apply that sort of thing. But as far as like literal trading, no, I don't think that's going to help you. I think it's all about strategy creation and management. And then just following that is where you're going to have your success. But if you put the time into the strategy creation part, and that's where you're studying, and that's where you're, really put in hours at the desk, that's where I'd say, no, I'd have to disagree with the initial assumption here. But that's the problem, is that most people don't do it that way, right? Anyways, like, poor trading practices lead to profits and good trading practices lead to loss. They can, of course. But of course, you are also, as a trader, looking at these things very long term, or you should be looking at them very, very long term, because you're not going to make or break, or you shouldn't be making or breaking your life in one trade, or at least if you're doing that, you're not, in my opinion, a trader. You're like a roulette gambler. You're putting it all on black, and hopefully it hits. And maybe there's a skill in that, but it's not the same thing as trading, in my opinion. Anyways, Lovewood says, "What's up, sir? What's up, man? NASDAQ, nice. Okay, let's look at some NAS futures here. Or actually, I already have it up. How did it close out January? Not great, not terrible. A little bit more on the better side than not. I mean, if we put this to a line chart, it's just straight up. We'll see what happens tomorrow when traditional markets open up, because right now is Sunday, and there's been tariffs imposed and whatnot in the overnight session, and that is definitely having an effect on crypto, and I suspect it would have a lot more an effect on traditional markets, to be honest. But looking at it right here, I think if you're on the higher term timeframes for NAS, you're looking at a range in the more immediate term, right? You're looking at something like this: 20,800 to the downside versus 22,100 to the upside. As long as you're between there, I don't really look at this as much of anything. Like, it's not a breakout nor a breakdown. It is still in a bullish posture, but it can spend some time going sideways here, shaking itself out. I suspect that this week we probably will see a test somewhere down around here. At least, probably one more time. And if it has a strong bounce, that would be a good indication for me. If it doesn't, and you actually see closures, more importantly, below about 20,800, I do think you're in for a much more prolonged correction, and in further south, maybe closer to this region here between about 20,000 and 19,500, something like that, before the next bounce could probably be found. Yeah, hopefully that was helpful, man. Oh, you're asking about a fucking 4 hour. All right. Short term, yeah, I do think that it comes back down. I think that you see 21,250 or so, maybe even all the way down to the bottom end of this channel. All right, moving on. We have ZJM. He says, copying this over from the other thread. Okay. All right, I'm trying to find where the question is. Crown, what do you think about the baby gap on Coin Daily around 261? All right, let's first verify this. Usually if it's like super small, I don't really care. It has to be like glaringly obvious. Okay, you're talking about, no? Okay, where is, Jesus, where is this gap? Where is this gap that you're speaking of? Is it this? No. Is it this? It must be this one right here. I think if you were playing this gap, it's already been filled, and you already got the bounce that you would be looking for on a gap like this. And that happened on the 27th of January. So yeah, no. I think if you're looking for it to bounce again there, you're playing a game that already ended. The play was already had. T Night, hey, what's up, man? Thoughts on McDonald's, McD's, the Golden Arches. I've actually don't recall ever really looking at this chart. Interesting. Well, it does exactly what you would expect for a highly successful company for the past 70 years. Very impressive, actually. Anyways, let me get to the question. The 1 week and the monthly, do people still love Big Macs? I think so. And big butts, or what? Or was having a huge ass just a fad? I think it was. To be honest, I think it's fucking gross. Like, Elsa was showing me pictures of Kim Kardashian's ass, and it just looks fat as fuck to me. It looks gross. Like, I don't like it. It's not for me. Maybe I'm gay. Who knows? But you also love a big ass, and men also have big asses too. So who's the gay lord now? Anyways, I'm the gay lord for TA at least. Anyways, McDonald's. Let's go to the weekly. It's a general uptrend long term. Of course, I'm going to like something like this. The real question is this the new weekly higher low right here? I mean, a lot of these retracements into higher lows have been coming down a lot more than what would be a pretty harmless one right here. But we are already seeing the weekly stochastic also to turn back onto the upside above 284. So I guess you can kind of treat it as a higher low. as long as that is as long as that is met. But if you do lose January's low, then I do think you're going to be coming down to the 55 and basically retesting your July/June lows of 2024. Still, I'd be looking for a big bounce there, probably even the next major higher low. It's hard to bet against a chart that does something like this. I'd really only get concerned about something like this if you actually closed below your July lows. You know, at that point, I mean, this thing can fucking fall apart, I guess, and you get one of these major corrections like you've had a couple of times in the history. But until that happens, you know, I don't like betting against a trend here. So I'm going to be more on the side of, it's probably trying to put in a low here. Maybe it retests its low at like 280. That's fine. Just don't really want to see it much below there. Otherwise, the corrective targets get significantly and progressively more deep. Anyways, we'll move on to the next one. Myth Reindeer says, hello there. How's everything going? Everything is, well, I've had too much caffeine today, but it's okay. It's okay. Anyways, you're saying for many alts, we've seen the topping signals, and you often say this one probably has seen a top for a while. Okay, so let me just put this. Well, actually, you posted this, more than a week or about a week ago, a little bit more than a week ago. I remember saying that a lot on the most recent live stream, but that was just a day ago, actually, or maybe 2 days ago. But yeah, you know, I do think that for a lot of things, yes, I do, especially a lot of the meme coins. If we take into account an idea that the cycle might top within the next 2 to 3 months, so that's a big assumption, so an assumption that I generally agree with, but of course can be wrong, possibly not certain, of course, then those alts will not see new all-time highs for another two. I mean, they're probably not going to see another new all-time high ever, to be honest, for all of these. I can't imagine anyone like fucking accumulating fart coins at, you know, on a 99% drawdown, thinking that the next cycle is going to take out the prior all-time high. I really don't, man. It's very rare. It's very rare for anything to trade above its prior cycle high. It's significantly out of the ordinary. The most likely thing is to get nowhere near your prior cycle high. Although things do bounce, but I do think that, you know, especially the meme coins, you're not going to see that. Maybe like a couple of the high quality memes, right? They can survive time from time. You know, we have seen Doggy Coin survive for a while. Pepe Coin was okay, or I think it's been okay. I haven't checked on it in a while, but you know, these are the exceptions to the rule. So yeah. Anyways, in this case, better to start offloading the alts with bounces and sit tightly in Bitcoin and just a strong uptrendy feel. I think in general, that's always going to be a good plan. I mean, that's the way that like big money managers will treat their assets, is they will sell their losers and buy their winners. And, you know, yeah, you might not have the same potential for gains as you do in altcoins, but you also don't have the same catastrophic losses as well. But yeah, really good question, by the way. Italian Job Bob says, Mara on the daily weekly. It's been in a range for 14 months, pumping on high volume, retracing on low volume. All right, let's go to Mara. So this is a Bitcoin miner, I think. Don't know if these are the best things to be in. I don't know when I did this LARP line, but it's the same shit for me right here. I think you're going sideways at best for a while. Let's go to the monthly, see how this one closed out January. Yeah, I think you're still going sideways here, basically between September's low of like 13.25 and November's high of about $30 or a little bit above $30. And I think you go sideways there for a while. And that would be good long term. I would get bearish on this if you do take out those September lows and close below there. At that point, you know, probably going to see like well below $10, honestly. But bounces along the way, of course. But you know, I'd give it a chance to go sideways here. Not a humongous fan of this chart, but it's not. I mean, it's not like dastardly bad just yet as well. So yeah, I still hold on to a little bit of hopium as long as it's above that September low. Alrighty, moving on. Just making sure that my microphone's on, because I literally recorded a video earlier today where my microphone was muted. Great fucking job, Crown. Great fucking job, idiot. Anyways, Kenshiro says, Zeus USDT, please, sir, while sipping on water. Okay, like do the analysis while I'm sipping on water. Zeus coin. I can't say that I've ever seen this one before. There's your water. Well, It's not a godly coin, sir. um, I think that a lot of things are looking for bounces like very soon here. And I would say this one is probably no different. I mean, maybe it's even, already kind of in that bounce phase. Maybe it spikes this level again. Maybe it spikes a little bit lower, closer to 35 cents, whether it's here or a little bit lower, I don't really care. I do think that you will see a bounce there, but that bounce has a lot of work to do. Because if I were to see a rejection on the bounce, especially below like 65 cents, let's call it, or even 70 cents, to be honest, I'd be looking at that as indicative of a major bull trap, and probably gets ready for like a real move to the downside. But first things first, let's check it out on a bounce. I'd say bounce is about confirmed to happen if you do see this thing start to close above 50 cents. Until then, maybe another swipe a little bit lower. But I think you've kind of seen the short-term lows for this one. And now it's time to be looking for a bit of a bounce, but be skeptical on the bounce, I would say. At least that's what I'll be doing. Of course, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I don't like that the 5-day has already retraced the last wick low. I mean, that's not a strong sign, just straight up. So yeah, not the best one. Whatever the fuck that thing is. Never seen it before, although I love Greek mythology. Anyways, Flayer says, hello, sir. Daily weekly time frame for OM. Did we look at this one earlier? Yeah, I think we looked at this one earlier. Let me just see. Who asked about this? OM. Yeah, we already looked at this one, so I think we're all good there. Rathbad says, missed, sir. Pengu Soul. All right, Pengu Soul. Pengu Soul Derp. All right, I will look at it versus the... You don't need me to tell you that this thing's fucked. Look, you're going to have your bounces along the way, but I'm not a believer in this one. I'm not a believer in this one. There's also a very limited amount of history to be going off of, like a month and a half, a little bit under that. So it's not going off of much, but I don't like what I see. Even if it bounced all the way up to 2 cents, I'd still say low or high. And you will get your bounces along the way. And, maybe it bounces even relatively soon. I mean, it's been beaten up a lot here, but the trend is your friend, and the trend is fucking you if you are in any way, shape, or form long this thing. So I would say no, ma'am. Well, I mean, no, it's like, I just think it goes further south. I mean, I don't think that this thing's doing anything to the upside anytime soon. You will get your bounces, but I would say even a 2 cent bounce would be a gift from God at this point. Anyways, we'll move on to BT Storm. He says, good morning, sir. Good morning to you as well. When USA? This week, actually. So this video will probably be posted on the day that we travel. In fact, Yo Trash like me needs to know how to play this shenanigans. A lot of videos I'll have at the beginning scheduled that I wanted to get out and that I've been trying to get out for a long time now and finally had the time to do. But after that, I'll be doing it in the American morning time zone. So I don't know, maybe like around 8 or 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what does that correlate to times here in Finland? That's plus 7 hours. So let's just say it's 9. So that's about 4 p.m., 5 p.m. It'll be more like a dinner video rather than a morning coffee video. Anyways, looking at OM versus BTC. All right, fair enough. Okay. Very similar to the US dollar chart. It's the same shit here to me. It's nearly the exact same chart. In fact, I just have a general bullish bias as long as it holds this range. I mean, it's on the verge of actually trying for a real breakout here too. Perhaps this is even the try. I actually think that this one probably tries from here. Maybe if you have another correction, you see somewhere around the 5-day 5 exponential for a reconnect. But if the market shows any short, and if the general crypto market shows any sort of strength on a bounce, this thing should have a pretty fucking explosive move. I mean, the trend is your friend, and the trend is to the upside here. But I would be very concerned if it took out not this week's low, but last week's low and closed below there. At that point, I think you've seen a high for a very long time. Just my opinion, I guess. All right. Anyways, the yum green tilde. Jesus. Bitcoin buddy says, hey, Crown, do you think there's still a bounce coming in Canadian dollar versus US dollar? Let's check it out. CAD, USD. It's always difficult with Forex. Yeah, I do. I do think that it can still reach a little bit lower towards these lows, but you're very close to a bounce here. But yeah, does February trade lower first? Yeah, I think probably does. I think it probably does. Maybe closer to 68 cents and then sets it up for a bounce. But the trend is your friend, and on a bounce, you got lower highs, especially as long as you're below 75 cents. So looks pretty bad there for Canada, honestly. I mean, I think that you probably even do get a bounce like this, like a pretty big one, but I don't think it's the one that you're looking for. Then again, you can make the argument that, hey, you're coming off of the range lows. So if you reject the range lows, you're probably going to test the range highs. That would be the bullish view, I guess. I'm not of that opinion, but I can see it, I guess. Closing anywhere below these lows here at like 68 cents, I think that this thing gets sent back down to like decade lows from 2000. All right. Tobo says, good day, sir. What's up, man? Stock Palantir, weekly, monthly. Okay. Did it top out? Let me see. I like the name of this. Actually, a really cool name. It's a reference to Lord of the Rings, I believe. Do I think this topped out? I wouldn't say so yet. No. I think at least you're playing out a sideways range here between basically $85 the upside versus about 60 to the downside. You just test the top side of the range. It's going to have a chance to actually confirm a breakout this next week. It did close above $81, so momentum on the weekly continues up. So there actually should be at least one more try to the upside this week, and if it can close the week out above about $85, I'd say your breakout is real, and I guess this thing just goes to new all-time highs and continues on with the party. Monthly, yeah, again, I'd favor continuation here. If it does stall out, and especially if you see February trade below January's low, I would say this thing is in for a major correction down, definitely below $50. I mean, probably closer to $40 actually. You are seeing extremes here, so that is a possibility. But I'd still at least favor one more drive of continuation. As long as it's knocking on the top side door there, it's more likely to trade, more likely to follow the trend. If it has topped out, my downside targets again would be closer to $40. Anyways, MS 109,000 was a top. Hey, hello, sir. Hope you're doing well. Thanks, ma'am. Super on the daily. All right, let's check this one out. This one's still playing off for the monthly. 21 exponential. Don't like what it's doing here. To be blunt, Elliot's a good friend of mine. I don't like talking shit about his coin, but I don't like what I see here. To be honest. This thing acted so fucking well in October, November, and December, but to give up these gains without any real bounce the whole way through, I mean, it's not the best sign. And I think that it even reaches a little bit lower here before you do get a bounce attempt. I think it trades maybe closer to like 80 cents first, and then you should get a bounce. But the problem is that this bounce can very easily lead to reversal. Confirm a downside reversal, essentially just being a bull trap if you see it top out anywhere below like $1.50. So I guess we'll see. I mean, it should bounce at some point in this month, after maybe a little bit lower, like I said, 78 to 80 cents region. And then I'd be kind of looking for a bounce, but lower highs below $1.50. So do have to be aware of that, especially with the way that the monthly looks. Like, I don't know if I can make any more excuses for this thing, but we'll see. Again, I'd like to see the bounce first, but it does start to feel a lot more like hopium at this point, than like legitimate trend reversal or seeing that in advance. Anyways, Rectop says, GM Crown, thanks for the Q&A. Can you take a look at IBIT on NASDAQ? Yeah, actually, this is becoming very, very much more interesting for me to analyze in terms of in terms of just looking at Bitcoin price action because, you know, it trades on traditional markets and there's a shit ton of liquidity in there. Where is my fucking IBIT? There it is. All right. Yeah, if I look at IBIT, I immediately think, okay, this thing just rejected the range high. You're probably coming back down to the range low. Your range low is $51. And so what would that correlate to on Bitcoin? You know, low 90s, like 92, 93-ish region, let's call it. You know, I generally haven't been of that opinion, or at least it's not that I haven't been against it. It's just, I was hoping that I was hoping that Bitcoin would have a mostly painless pullback to open up February. But you know, if I'm going off of this chart, yeah, I would be saying, hey, this thing comes back down to $51. To contrast that statement though, you know, as long as you're above 55 and 55 and a half, we do see weekly momentum remains to the upside. So, you know, we'll see how this one opens up. The problem is that this, you know, the weekend price action right now is selling off alongside tariff announcements and all this stuff. So I need to see where this thing opens up. But if it opens up below last week's low of like $56, I do think you're going to get a coast to coast play here. And you'll at least come back down around here. Again, here being about $50 or so. All right. Moving on, we have Mr. Mati, nice, my Finnish brother here. The video was released already, and wait, what? I must have missed something. Anyways, Hamia says, "Hey Crown, could you please look at Bitcoin dominance?" I can, but I have to say what I always say about Bitcoin dominance. I don't think it represents what a lot of people are looking for it to represent, which is alt season. I think strong alts have been rallying significantly in this past year. Typically only comes from like one or two sectors. It's been the meme sector recently and the AI sector recently. If I'm just looking at Bitcoin dominance, I'm kind of have to be bullish on this at this point, but I don't trust it. I do think that most altcoins go to hell, but the big winners in the hot sector, they massively outperform. And that's probably what you're looking at this chart for. You're probably trying to figure out when alt season. Well, alt season, in my opinion, only applies to a couple of sectors. I mean, that's what it's always been from cycle to cycle. You know, most things from the prior cycle do not rally to new all-time highs. And the ones that do are usually a part of the hot sector. Anyways, this thing, if I'm just looking at this, I guess I would be bullish on it. Sounds fucking crazy, but with the way that January closed, I mean, that's a strong monthly closure. It's hard for me to argue against that. So does Bitcoin grind up against here, against alts here? Definitely possible. But I still think that you're going to see the hot sectors do well if Bitcoin, you know, just holds a range and especially if it bounces as well. So that's really what I'd be focused on. All right. We have Volpes. Next, he says, GM, good sir, getting tired of crypto. Are you or me? I mean, shit, man. To me, this is always super interesting, to be honest, in terms of price, in terms of crypto in general. Yeah, I don't really care too much about it, to be honest. Bitcoin's cool. A couple of cryptos can be cool. I can see the value in that, but I'm not like super into it, to be honest. More into like analysis and trading at this point. Can you please take a look at Abbott Labs, ABT on higher time frames? I've also been getting a lot into YouTube recently. It's actually been pretty fun. I mean, you know, to try to tighten up YouTube skills, because in a way it's almost harder than trading, I think, just because the competition is like really fucking fierce when you think of it that way. Anyways, Arcblock, whatever the hell this thing is, you know, I think at best you're trading in a range here. I do think that you probably test towards the range lows again, maybe like 90 cents or something. Does it actually break down from here? I think that you probably at least get another bounce. Sorry, let me see what the range low. Oh, sorry. The range lows are significantly lower than what I just quoted, maybe closer to 75 cents. But things are getting pretty beat up here. I think still you at least get another bounce. You know, maybe it comes down here, get another bounce. If it can trade sideways for a couple months from there, that would look good to me, especially if it can actually reclaim this region. That'd be my confirmation of being good and retesting prior all-time highs and probably making new all-time highs. But to be fair, this thing has done nothing since May of 2024. So I don't look at that as a good signal. It did not make new highs at the end of 2024. I would be more inclined to say it will bounce here, but it will top out somewhere around here, put in that next lower high, and then get ready for like an actual breakdown. But we'll see. We'll see, man. If it can hold sideways again without breaking down for like, I would say a couple months, then maybe there's some hopium. Until then, I'd kind of be skeptical of something like that. Treebeard says, hello, Master. What's up, man? I really appreciate it. All good, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate the appreciation. It's all good, man. My question, how many percentage of professional traders do you know are female versus male? Oh, I honestly can't think of any female professional trader that I know that I can verify actually is, I guess, doing it like well enough. I know that there's a few people in the program, a few women in the program, but I don't have any information on their trading, or anything like that. It's not my fucking business anyways. When I was trading on the floor of New York Stock Exchange Arca, there was a few women down there, but when I was like actually there myself, like in my early and mid 20s, I don't think that there's any female actual traders. But when I went to the floor of the exchange when I was very young, like 11, there was, I think, one or two. There was like one or two. So yeah, I don't really have any comment on this because I don't fucking know. I would imagine, I would imagine probably male versus female doesn't matter for learning faster. I think the people who learn faster are people who can deal with, who can understand the nuances of imperfectness, because trading is very different than most other professions, because most other professions are similar to school, where you take a test and the potential for answers are like A, B, C, and D, and there's a right answer, and you just select that. And if you do that every time, you can actually be 100% correct every time and be perfect. In trading, you can never be perfect, but you can be great in just playing out your setups, and that can lead to long-term success. But to put in that other dynamic, that's where I see the biggest sort of differential in people. For whatever reason, military people seem to do really well in the program. I don't know fucking why. I guess it must have to do with something like discipline, because it does require discipline. That would be my guess, at least. But I have noticed just a weird correlation to former military members who have joined the program, and like they just get it. They just fucking get it. Yeah, and I'm trying to think of who else does well. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, I can't really pick out I can tell you who does very poorly, but I won't. Anyways, Moali31 says, hey, Crown, can you check out Paal on the daily? Okay. All right. Some nameless shitcoin, I'm guessing. All right, let's check it out. It's an AI, so it is a part of the narrative, but not having a good time. In fact, again, not making new highs in December. So to me, that's a bad signal. Now, do I think it's going to bounce here? I guess I must have charted this one before. Yeah, I think around here, maybe a little bit lower, might reach closer to this exact low here at like 15 cents, somewhere between 15 and 18 cents. Do you think that you set up for a bounce? And the bullish view, the hopium view, is that you bounce, you have a big bad bounce, and then you trade sideways for a while. The issue is, however, that, you do have lower highs below about 35 cents. So would need to be a bit on the defensive if it does get a rejection around that region on a bounce. But if it can hold sideways, similar to some of the other things that we looked at today for like a month or two, maybe even 3, that would be indicative of reaccumulation to me. All right. Let's see. Jack Frost 420 says, yo, as a property owner, what are your thoughts and opinions on Dubai? I don't own property in Dubai. I actually rent in Dubai, but I do own property in Finland, and I'll probably be looking at places in America as well. But as far as because I have looked a little bit into property in Dubai. I don't know, man. Look, I'm not a real estate expert or anything like this at all. I have a very limited experience, but the people that I consult with that are that actually do have a decent amount of experience in that sector, they do not like Dubai for investing. I don't know why. I haven't really gone that far in the conversation. I didn't really care to buy a place in Dubai. So yeah, I didn't really go further with that. Yeah. I think the biggest issue in Dubai probably is that they can just build so much more. So they can dilute you, and there's some issue with the build quality there too, in some of the newer buildings. But yeah, just again, I don't know for sure, because that's not my expertise. I'm just kind of parroting what other people have said. Emmy says, "Hello, sir. Your opinion on this and the connection with Bitcoin price. Also, can you check out virtual protocol? Maybe just one at a time. But this is the Wyckoff distribution schematic right here." The problem with Wyckoff, it's not a problem. I have a great amount of respect for Wyckoff analysis, I guess. I think that there is a lot of merit to it. But I think where people get kind of hung up a lot is that accumulation and distribution will actually basically look the same. They will actually basically look the same. It doesn't need to follow this exact structure right here, by the way. I mean, this is like, it can follow many different paths. Price is random after all, but it follows a geometric Brownian motion. But here's the thing. Whenever you have one of these schematics, the way to play it is the same, whether it's an accumulation or distribution schematic. If you trade above the range highs, then it was accumulation. And if you trade below the range lows, then it was distribution. And you'll only ever know in hindsight. And this is what the most experienced Wyckoff people will tell you, because that's who I've consulted with to know that. Yeah, correlation to Bitcoin's price. I mean, yeah, it looks, I guess it would be a little bit closer to the distribution schematic as of right now. But it's not, again, as long as we're in the middle of the range here, drawing conclusions from very, very little. Need to see the actual resolution of this range. Yeah. All right. I guess we can do virtual just really quickly here. All right. I think we've looked at this before as well. Yeah, bad. Very bad. Breaking down without even a bounce at the pity bounce region. So I think you had a little bit more lower here before it, a little bit lower. It's like 1.25. It's trading 160 right now. Like, I still don't think it would take too much to get a bounce. I mean, maybe it happens before 1.25, but, has this thing topped out for a long time? Yes, it has. So if it does bounce, I mean, any bounce that fails to get back above like 3.25, I'd say is your bull trap. I think that this one's topped for a cycle probably, or at least a very long time. All right, let's see. Society says NOS 2-day weekly on MEXC. Nice. NOS. Oh, this is no Santa. LARP lines here, same shit basically. Coming down to the low side of the range. I guess we made this chart a couple weeks ago. I wouldn't really add anything onto this. I think that you're getting close to a bounce region here, somewhere maybe a little bit lower, like a little stab lower. Probably a big percentage move to be fair, but somewhere in this blue box here, I do think that you bounce there. Again, I'm a bit skeptical of charts that look like this, that just pump out of nowhere, but for what it's worth, it has been within this range since June of last year. So I'd give it a chance to bounce here, probably at least tries towards the middle of the range at like $2.50, and give it a chance to go sideways. Again, if it can hold sideways within this range for, let's call it like 2-3 months, that would look good for a reaccumulation to me. But if you see a bounce, big rejection below like $3 and it comes back down to the lows, I think that would be a pretty dastardly signal, to be honest, for it to actually like break down. Anyways, Ross the Boss says, are you keeping some dry powder for buying cheap stocks in a crash if interest rates go up again? Well, I'm not necessarily keeping dry powder for that exact reason, but I always have dry powder. But yes, I have been raising cash to potentially go more into the stock market. But for me, most of my stock market positions were taken in 2022. Not on the exact low, but probably like December/January of 2022, and then January of 2023. And so I'm pretty comfortable just holding here. Yes, I'll lighten up a little bit if this does produce a top, but I wouldn't mind re-adding lower. You know, if this thing has a correction down to like 18,500, that would be fine for me. Basically, anytime traditional markets drop 10 or more percent, I'm going to be going in a bit. And actually, all the way down to the 21 would be nearly a 20% correction. So yeah, I'd definitely be allocating more to traditional markets if it did come down around there. You know, but also understand when it comes to stock market, it's not like Bitcoin for me. I'm really long term in stock market, so I don't care really what happens like in like the next year or two. I care what happens over the next 15 years. So yeah. All right. Good question, by the way. Gibson says, "Hey, sir, you really like honey and sweet potatoes. It's fucking amazing, man. It's fucking amazing. What about other fruits? No vegetables. They're gross. I mean, they don't really have. I mean, they're mostly fiber. Like you just shit them out. You know, it's just taking up space in my stomach that could have been used by more nutritious foods. And I have a lot of digestion problems, and vegetables seem to exacerbate that. Nuts seem to be the same thing for me too, but they're not that filling. so I don't really like to get my calories from there. Fruits, yeah, I do eat fruits. I like what are my favorites? Watermelon. What's the yellow one? Pineapple, and then berries. I will have. You know, I usually have at least 1 or 2 servings of fruit every day. Yeah, it helps with the shits too. And fruits, you know, do have like legitimate micronutrients as well. Vegetables do have micronutrients as well, but they also just really upset my stomach, unfortunately. So again, that's just me thing. I'm not saying it's the right way to do your own dietary preferences. I'm just telling you what's worked for me. I know a lot of people have gut issues out there, and if you're like me, then maybe that's something worth trying. Nibbo says, "Love you as always, sir." Love you as well too, sir. Q-Man is a gold bug and can't bring himself to the dark side. Instead, his hot pick is VAU on ASX. Can you please look at 4-hour, daily, and weekly? Okay, VAU on it's some sort of Australian shitcoin. All right. I like it. At least in the short term. Very strong weekly closure, but with momentum turning up on a higher low, already at the range highs. So I look at this as very likely to complete the reversal. Probably trades back up towards your May highs, I would guess. The monthly is really starting to look like a reversal as well. If this month closes out above 40 cents, a little bit above 40 cents, I think that you're going to trade above your 2024 highs and probably put in a pretty significant rally, maybe close to like 80 cents long term. And this is log scale, so maybe it's not as crazy, but okay, maybe more like 60 cents. But yeah, I mean, the reversal's actually showing some life there, so not bad. Sweet. All good, man, and good to see you, brother. K3 says, "Kind sir, Solana versus the dollar, daily, weekly. Please, are we all going to make it? You might make it. You might not make it. You might be poor. You might be rich. Only Schrodinger's cat will know." Again, I uploaded a video on this relatively recently, but obviously I'm recording this, later on. I do think that if you're bullish on Solana, meaning that you don't think that the cycle's highs are in, you should be looking at pretty much about where the lows are already in for this month, about 206 as likely to be the lows. Maybe it goes a little bit closer to $200. That's not a big deal to me, but as long as it's above the red 5 exponential moving average, I would be still saying, hey, it's fine to be bullish. I would have no problem being bullish. But the second that it starts to close below there, okay, big corrections down, 150 at least, maybe even all the way down to like 110, 120. Again, it's not my main disposition here, but you always need to have areas, or at least I need to have areas that indicate that my primary idea is wrong and worth letting go. So yeah, monthly coming down here, does it spike this low a couple more times, maybe a little bit lower sometime this week? Yeah, but I think if you are bullish and you don't think that the cycle highs are in, this would be the most sensible place to me to find a higher low. So yeah. All right. We have Duke Royal next. Are we going to get through everyone here? We should I just do everyone today? All right. My voice is starting to leave me, so maybe not exactly. Let's see. Duke Royal has no message, so all good. Saba says, Dear Crown Sir, I kindly request that you review TON USD on both a daily and weekly basis. Appreciate that, man. Very kind message, sir. All right. TON, symbol TON. Not a humongous fan of this right here, but are you going to get a bounce off of these lows, basically on the yellow 21 for the monthly? It looks like it's going to try. Desperately need to see a bounce here. This week is closing pretty ugly already. I would say if this thing does not reclaim last week's high in the following week, so by the time this is posted, you're already going to be like halfway done with this week. I would look at that as a big warning signal, and this thing might very well actually break down, and you're probably coming back down to like sub $3 if that happens. But for right now, you're coming down to the low side of the range. You've tested it a few times. Yes. Do you get another bounce there? I'd bet on a bounce first. And just realize that, at best, you're probably going to be going sideways within this range between 4.5 to 7.25 for a long time. If it can hold sideways there for a couple months, then that would look good. But just hanging on for dear life on this one. All right. We'll do a couple more. Jim Bob says, hello, sir. Could you please give a few lessons learned on the charts? I'd be grateful if you could look at WIF and for a complete debate. No, just one question at a time, sir. Especially now my voice is like actually wrecked. Okay, few lessons learned on the chart. I'll give you the most important lesson. I think anyone who's watched my content for a while probably knows what it's going to be, but my most important lesson, the one that would have saved me from going broke, the one that would have actually made me the most money long term, to be fair as well, is trend is primary. The trend is your friend. The trend can be your friend until the end of the trend, and then you make a new friend with the new trend. Look, trading with the trend is nothing sexy. It doesn't really look that cool. It's quite boring in many cases as well. But if you're just looking to learn the basics of trading and very quickly, that's what I point you towards. Learn how to identify local high and local low, trending highs and trending lows, and you can just about create any sort of long-term strategy based upon that. Yes, you can add more things in as well, but those are just the bells and whistles. The trend is the most important thing for direction. Other than that, my next most important lesson is I do think that discretionary trading is very difficult to do long term, and I do think that systematically based trading, like the quant prime service, for example, is better for certainly more people than not, because you need hard and fast predefined rules so that you know what to do in the moment when a stress situation occurs, because that's the problem with discretionary trading, is that stress situation occurs and you don't really have like a real strategy. Like it's not systematized. So you're trying to make decisions in the moment, and in the moment you're being massively influenced by your own emotions that are going fucking haywire, and that just makes things much more difficult than they need to be. We will look at WIF just really quickly, not because I'm answering multiple questions, but because I'm actually genuinely interested in where this thing is. This was one of the darlings of the market not so long ago, and like many things, coming down to these major range lows alongside momentum oscillators being extremely low right here. It's like, look, I don't fucking like this price action. Don't like what it's doing. But do I think it's going to bounce here? Probably yes. I'd be betting on a bounce. Can I be wrong on that? If I'm wrong on that, it's going to be really fucking bad. It's going to come down to like, 30, 40 cents, something like that. Just a humongous dump off from where it's at right now, more than 50%. But I'd be betting on a bounce first from this region. This thing could bounce significantly to like $2.50. But, if I'm going to put my bull goggles on, the best that I could possibly do for this thing would be looking for a bounce off here, having a big bounce towards like maybe even $3, and then just trading sideways for a couple months. And then, that would look like reaccumulation, maybe gives another try to the upside. But I wouldn't actually blindly say that this altcoin, this meme coin, is actually seeing a macro high here just yet. At least I'm not getting the same indications or the same obviousness that I see on many other things on this. And, I do think that you're setting up for a bounce here relatively soon. It's been beat up a lot without any sort of a bounce. So yeah. All right. I think we'll do the last one. Here, man. Clee says, "Hey, Crown, I have several spot positions built up in 2023, and I'm considering to sell my losers at a loss and buy my winners, even if it will increase considerably my average price. My winners are Solana, Cardano, AVAX. Would you rather?" I mean, here's the thing. I don't think that any of the... Okay, I'm just going to answer your question as it is. I am not making a comment that these particular ones are good. I don't know. I would imagine Solana is pretty decent. AVAX, I haven't looked at it in a while, but I remember being quite skeptical of that one. Cardano, I have not looked at even longer, but I would also be skeptical of that one typically. But hey, I haven't looked at them in a while. So you're asking, would you rather split the allocation across these three? I would award more to your bigger winner. And I'm imagining that's probably going to be Solana. That would be the one out of these three that I think has the best shot at doing anything. But I'd also probably just take some of that money and actually keep it in cash, for the next, major pullback. So, have your pullback areas marked off that you'd be interested in investing in more, so you can, better that price. You don't need to buy it immediately as soon as you sell your losers. So yeah, I would identify the strongest and invest the most in that one. If not, and if it's all these, just again, I haven't actually looked at AVAX or Cardano in a while, but I would default to Solana. Out of any of these, would be the only one that I'd be interested in, maybe even potentially holding. Yeah. You're saying, personally, I would choose option number 2. Yeah, I'd agree on that one. However, being Solana the strongest and the largest in market cap, I think it could have, it is going to have way less potential. But, you're at the point where I know this is going to sound counterintuitive, but the point isn't to maximize. The point is to maximize the amount of income that you make from trading or investing. But in these situations, I think from the perspective as a risk manager. And personally, man, I think I would personally trade less potential for greater runs for a higher probability that it doesn't have the significant drawdowns that many of the other ones are prone to. Solana could have a major drawdown on its own, to be fair. But this is kind of the problem when you get into altcoins, because you really don't know which ones are going to last from cycle to cycle. Everyone, I'm sure you can remember from prior cycles, shit that you thought was like the hot thing, and it never really did anything after that. Just became irrelevant. So, yeah. Could they catch up more? If they're smaller market cap, they potentially have more rewards. Yep. Personally, I would trade security for potential more rewards. That's just me. That's just a preference. Might be relevant to you, might not be relevant to you. I think that you generally have the right idea here, and yeah, seems fine to me. If you are indeed going to go with these, I would identify the strongest. That would be Solana, and go heavier into that one. In fact, just out of genuine curiosity here, I'm curious what Cardano looks like. Yeah, no. Well, let's go to a higher time frame. It could survive here. I think it spends a lot of time consolidating between like 80 cents and 115 if it's going to be bullish. But, does it have more potential gains? I don't like that this thing has not gotten anywhere near its 2021 high in this past bull market. It seems like a loser to me, but yeah. I think Solana has more potential actually for returns as well, because compared to Cardano, at least, because this one's actually close to breaking out to new all-time highs and a blue sky breakout. Crazy things can happen during these times. Whereas Cardano, you're well below those prior all-time highs, so you're not going to see any sort of major price discovery anytime soon. Probably not at all, if I had to guess. But yeah. Not as terrible as what I would expect it on Cardano, to be honest. I do think that it is reaccumulating there, but just be aware of your range. If it breaks to the downside, that idea goes out the window. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this one. My brain is starting to fart out, and I'm desperately searching for some more water, which I do not have. So I will be signing off on that note. Again, this video is being recorded on Sunday, February the 2nd. Yeah, we'll end things right there. As always, I want to wish everyone the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.